but it's important. So let's all please rise for a short prayer and a salute to our flag. Almighty God, grant us the wisdom to make those decisions that are in the best interest of all of our residents. May the Heavenly Father of us all bless those who have given the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation, and may He watch over and protect our servicemen and women now guarding the gates of freedom, and a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Statement of publication, Jessica.
Take notice that this regular meeting of the Mayor and Council being held on this 12th day of April 2021 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Conti.
Here.
Delina.
Here.
Enriquez.
Here.
Marr.
Here.
Novak. Roberts.
Here.
And our professionals, the Business Administrator,
Present.
CFO,
Here.
Engineer,
Here.
Here.
Attorney.
Here.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Jess. At this point, we'll move over to the approval of prior minutes. Can I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve the prior minutes as listed in the agenda.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Delina,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Marr,
Yes.
Novak, and Roberts.
Yes.
Thank you very much once again. We're going to move over to our COVID-19 update. And at this time, I will keep our COVID-19 update fairly brief. As you know, as a municipality, we have reached well over our 4,000 positive case. And sadly, we are over the confirmed fatalities of our residents, unfortunately, due to this illness. Most recently, unfortunately, just prior to the Easter and Passover break holiday, we did have some of our youngest fatalities to COVID-19, one of which was only 14 years of age. And I will just ask that we all take a few moments of silence for all of those residents that we've lost, but most especially to that family that I'm sure is still grieving and will continue to grieve. So if you would all just give me that moment of silence in honor of all those that we have lost. Thank you very much. And our hearts and our prayers are with everybody. I will once again just also remind you that if you did not have the opportunity to listen to the governor speak today, I believe at 1 o'clock with his update, we all are now aware that New Jersey continues to rise with our COVID positive cases. Right now within the country, New Jersey is only second in positive cases to Michigan. That is not a good place to be. So I will implore everybody, and as somebody that has suffered and is still learning to deal with the effects of COVID-19, please protect yourselves. Wear your masks, wash your hands frequently. If you can and have the ability, please get vaccinated. It's right now the only defense that we truly have in order to keep everybody safe and hopefully combat this virus. So that way our positivity rates and our lives can get back to the new normal that we're all eagerly awaiting. With that, I am now going to move into our executive session at this point. So Jessica, I'll ask you to read our executive session. Rezo.
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances. And whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be resolved by the Mayor and Borough Council, the Borough of Sayreville, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey as follows. The public portion of this meeting is hereby adjourned in order that the governing body may meet in closed private session for approximately 10 to 15 minutes to discuss the following matters: litigation. Following the conclusion of said closed session, the governing body shall reconvene the open portion of this public meeting to consider any other matters which may be properly brought before it at this time. The nature and content of the discussion which occurs in closed session shall be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion to go into closed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilperson Selena.
I know he's in there. Kevin, can you still hear us, please?
Yeah, Kevin made the motion.
Yes. Oh, so he doesn't need to affirm because he.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. My internet had an issue.
That's okay. Conti?
Yes.
Enriquez?
Yes.
Mar?
Yes.
Roberts?
Yes.
Mary. Okay. Mary just popped in. Now we're
Okay.
going to go into closed session.
Since Mary came in, do we need to have her as a voice vote for yes to go into close?
Now I'll just make a notation that she just came into the meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
just make sure she is moved over or she has the number for closed.
Okay, so at this point, we are going to go into executive as Jessica said for just a few moments. I believe that we need to now join in under that other number, correct, Jessica?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to depart from this meeting and we'll be back shortly. Jess, let me know when you're ready. I have a little bit of a different view right now, but I see more panelists seem to be joining the meeting.
Okay, we're just about done. I'll let
Okay,
you know.
thanks.
Okay, we can go ahead, Vic.
Okay,
Need a
thank you.
motion to reconvene.
Yes, can I have a motion, please, to
Make a
reconvene?
motion to reconvene.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So that will bring us now to our old business, and we're going to move forward with the public hearing on the following ordinances. Jess?
Public hearing on ordinance number 521-21, an ordinance authorizing the execution of a master financial agreement for payments in lieu of taxes with several Seaport Associates Urban Renewal LP pursuant to the long-term tax exemption law and the redevelopment area bond financing law with respect to Block 257, Lot 3.04, Block 257, Lot 3.052, Block 257.01, Lots 1 and 1.01, Block 257.01, Lot 1.10, Block 257.01, Lot 4, Block 257.01, Lot 5, Block 257.01, Lot 6, Block 257.01, Lot 20, Block 257.01, Lot 30.12, Block 257.02, Lot 1, Block 257.02, Lot 1.01, and Block 257.02, Lot 22, collectively commonly known as Parcel C with the Water Property Development Area, all in the Borough of Fairfield, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, and authorizing certain other actions in connection therewith.
Hey, Mayor, just for your edification, we have Ms. Critio on the phone, Mr. Baker on the phone, Mr. Samuel on the phone, and I believe another individual who I don't have on my list. They want to just make a short presentation to refresh the mayor and council's history on this as well as knowledge. So just if you would bear with them and let them give their presentation. And it's really just to refresh everyone's history and well as information that they gave. It's the same information they gave about a month ago, but just for a refresher. Thanks, Mayor. Mike, I think you're up.
All right, let me start it off.
Dave started. Thank you.
Okay, as you know, during the past 4 or 5 months, we at CME, along with Joe Ambrosio at Sarah, Mike Baker, Anthony Iacoco at Hoagland Longo, Dennis Enright from NW Financial, and Matt Jessup and Jennifer Credito from McManaman, Scotland and Bauman have been working to bring this project to you for your review and your action. The negotiations were difficult because a lot of things changed. No longer is there a regional mall as it was originally proposed. The cost for the cleanup of the site probably doubled because of all of the material they found and all of the surcharging that has to go on. The affordable housing cost also increased with regard to the non-residential uses, and all of this put a huge hole in the redeveloper's budget. But after all is said and done, we'll be presenting to you a great project for the borough, complete, and it's similar with the amenities that we've all been talking about. And I think that it's going to be now up to the mayor and council to decide how we go through and proceed. The project, as you know, was originally conceived back in the early 2000s. First RFP issued in 2005. Second RFP was issued in 2007, in which O'Neill of SSA was selected. There was no significant progress that happened under that. So SSA brought in a new developer, a new master developer by the name of North American Properties. Now the project is known as Riverton. There is no regional mall, but there is a nice mix that we're about to explain to you. Mike, you want to take it from here?
Thank you, David. Members of the council, mayor. It's good to be back. Tonight, you're going to be asked to vote on 2 ordinances. One is for the master financial agreement, which is known as the pilot agreement. And that is a payment in lieu of taxes that the property owners of the site would pay. The good thing about pilot agreements is the borough gets to keep 95% of the money, does not have to share any more than 5% of it with the county. It is the way that brownfield sites and older sites around the state and around the country are being redeveloped. And it's something that all your neighbors are engaging in as they try to develop old brownfield sites. The second ordinance is a master special assessment ordinance. And I guess it's like a super sidewalk ordinance. Some of the council members who've been on have seen sidewalk ordinances where improvements are done and then the property is assessed. Here, the special assessment ordinance is supersized. because it's going to pay for all the infrastructure and amenities on the site. So the roads, the water, the sewer, every infrastructure, treatment facilities, anything that you can think of on the site is going to be paid for through a special assessment. And again, paid for by the property owners of the site, not by the other taxpayers in Sayreville. We set out some goals when we decided at Sarah what we wanted to accomplish for the borough, and I'll do a quick run through those. There are different types of uses on the property. There's office, there's retail, there's commercial, there's hotel, there's residential. We wanted to make sure from a pilot payment standpoint that each one of those types of uses paid for itself, and we've done that. Second, we wanted to be sure that the 20 million plus in additional funds to be collected for the Board of Education to be used for the schools was accounted for, and we've done that. The third was we wanted every year to have a surplus of revenues over expenses so that the borough would have additional funds which they can use for projects, tax reduction, paying for other needs in the community. And we've accomplished that, as you'll see in the chart that Dennis Enright, our financial expert, will present. We wanted the surplus of revenue over expenses to increase gradually over time. And we also wanted to get all the amenities that Dave Samuel will probably talk about later, such as the promenade, the fountains, the amphitheater, and the like, paid for through the project. And then the last one was we wanted it to be fair to the borough, meaning the borough is going to get a fair return on this parcel, a brownfield parcel that's being returned to productive use, and also fair to the developer, meaning the taxation on the property would still leave the property viable to be developed. So we think we've hit that balance, and I'll turn back to Dave if he has any amenities to talk about, and then we'll switch to Dennis Enright, who at that point will need to share a screen.
Okay, Dennis, could you share the screen with first the concept plan, please?
I'll try to.
Okay.
Hold on.
Yeah, the clerk should be giving you access now.
While you're doing that,
Yeah,
I will
I think
go
I'm
through
getting
just the primary list of the amenities. Okay, as you know, the big thing that we've included in this is at least $20 million that was going to be for school funding. Fire and EMS funding of $2.5 million, community center of $1.25 million, conference center funding for $2.5 million. There's going to be 10 years of temporary municipal office space available at the site, valued probably around $1 million. Water facilities charge of $7.73 million, which is basically to go through and make the developer pay his fair share of the water treatment facilities and some of the Duhernal work that provides water supply for their site. There's going to be a concessionaire payment for any of the New Jersey ABC facilities that go through and sign up. Waterfront promenade, also known as Heroes Walk, has been worked out with a lot of the Veterans Association. Believe it or not, the Waterfront Promenade is worth $29.4 million. Okay, it's going to be a beautiful amenity that will allow people to enjoy our waterfront. Design amenities throughout the site includes fountains, lighting, special lighting, squares for people to be able to congregate and enjoy themselves. They're valued at around $5 million. Contributions towards the parkway ramps are included, and that was $15 million that the developer had to come up with for that. Affordable housing of 300 units and affordable housing contribution for non-residential of $2 million. In addition to that, the borough will receive millions of dollars in water and sewer connection fees, which they'd be entitled to per state statute. The concept plan that's before you is the concept plan primarily that you've seen. There were some minor tweaks that we explained to you at the last meeting, but it's going to be a beautiful project. Next one, please, Dennis. Dennis, please change to the next slide.
I think I did. Maybe I didn't. Hold on. If you could see it, can you
Yep.
see it now or no?
That's right. Yep, we got it.
Okay.
We had a long presentation
All
to the mayor and council about how the roads were going to be dealt with. There's certain private roads, certain public roads, and those big roads that are going to be the major thoroughfares. The big thing to note on this is even though the major thoroughfares are going to become public roads, the developer is going to have to maintain these for a minimum of 10 years, probably longer. And we wanted to make sure that he maintained them because they are going to be beat up by construction equipment and the like. And we didn't want to have the borough be responsible as a result of their damage from construction. So from the standpoint, that concludes my presentation at this point. Now it's up to you, Dennis and Mike.
Thank you. I left off two things from our priority list. The townhouses are paying the full equivalent of taxes, just like every other townhouse, although they're just paying it through the pilot, not through land tax or other tax. And the annual tax assessment, the annual pilot payment is escalated at it's up on the chart there, 1.5% to 2% per annum. And I'll let Dennis go forward with that because I seem to be stepping on his message.
That's fine. Doing great. So I'll move on to the project development plan. This is a very, very large project. Over 4 million square feet of development with retail, hotel, conference center, office, multifamily rental units, and townhouse units. And you can see the metrics there for it's 625 hotel rooms, 1,500 multifamily rental units, and 500 townhomes. So governmental revenues in the first operating year, meaning the first year of full impact of the entire development, is shown at 12.61 million, and Sayreville would receive 11.63 million of that from the different sources that are outlined there: land tax, pilot, school surcharge, and hotel room tax. The governmental revenue sharing varies by the type of revenue. So you can see that from the pilot, the borough gets 95%. From the school pilot surcharge, they get 95%. From the land tax, they only get 28%, but together with schools, it's 84%. And the hotel tax, they get 100%. The revenue projection in the first full operating year is a combination of land tax, pilot payment, school surcharge, and room tax, and 30 years worth of revenues escalating, at the indexes will produce nearly $500 million in revenue over 30 years for the borough. This is a further delineation of the revenue splits between the different parts of the revenues that are generated and who gets them. So you can see that the borough gets 8.7 million, the school board gets 2.8, and the others are a little bit smaller, but they add up to 11.6 million in revenue. The tax equivalent structure, this is the townhouses, as Mike mentioned, pay the equivalent of full taxes, but everyone else pays a combination of, or every other use pays a combination of a pilot payment on a per square foot basis and a pledge special assessment on a per square foot basis. The pledge special assessment is to pay for the infrastructure, as Dave mentioned, and a school surcharge to pay for future school needs. And over time, as you can see on this final chart, the surplus surplus that this generates between revenues and costs for the borough and the school district continues to rise over time. That's it.
Thank you all very much for that presentation. Thank you to all of our professionals that are on the call and for again, going over this with us as thorough as can be. At this point, any questions from the council? If not, I'll look to Councilwoman Roberts to make a motion on this.
We have
And
to, we have to open to the public.
Oh, my apologies. As well. Yes, open to the public as well.
And Dennis has to give up the screen, Mayor.
Yes.
And we just need him to
How do I
stop
do that?
sharing.
Stop sharing.
Stop
Yes,
sharing.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, I'm learning
Thank
something
you.
new every day.
Okay. Any questions from the council before we open to the public for discussion? Okay.
If I may, I just want to make a statement. There have been a lot of questions we've been fielding, and one of those came from our tax assessor. And I believe the council and mayor received a letter from the tax assessor, and I am happy to say that we have received a clarification letter that has satisfied his questions, and I'd just like to read that out loud. I think you may have received it in your packet, and it's from Michael Baker, so thank you, Mr. Baker, for those clarification. Says, as you know, I represent the Sayreville Economic and Redevelopment Agency. As such, I've been actively involved in the negotiations regarding the financial agreement for the Riverton project. Over the past few weeks, we have spoken a few times about how to interpret paragraph M in the recital portion of the financial agreement, in particular, the fourth sentence of recital M. As we have discussed, in accordance with the terms, the fourth sentence of recital M is aspirational and is an expression of the desire of the parties. The final sentence of recital M is clear. It is not the intent of the parties to bind or circumcise the tax assessor in his or her determinations, or to freeze in any manner, limit the aggregate assessed value of the project or any portions thereof, or to limit any increases in assessed value. Accordingly, in my opinion, the assessor is free and in fact required by law to assess the land in the law. So, Mr. Baker, I want to thank you for that. I do know that our tax assessor, I did see him on the phone for this, and I believe I spoke with him this week, and many of you also have spoken with him, and this was his biggest question, and I believe he is satisfied with that interpretation. And I just want to give Mr. Kupch an opportunity if he has any clarification to make at this time.
Okay, thank you for reading that, Don. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Baker, also for clarifying that in writing for us as well. Looking on the line, I do not see, I don't think I see Joe under panelist. So Joe, if you are on and you wish to speak, you have to just press *9 if you're on the phone, or if you're on the computer. I'm not sure. I see that he's on. I just don't know in what capacity. So if you wish to speak, you can either press *9 on the phone, or you can just unmute yourself.
Or if he doesn't have any questions, we could just open the meeting to the public.
At this point, I don't see any movement to join the meeting here from Joe. So thank you, Joe, for all of your hard work as well. At this point, I do see 2 hands raised from the public with questions. I'll start with Jim Robinson because I noticed he also put a question in the chat. So Mr. Robinson, name and address, please, for the record.
Yes, on mute on his end.
Jim, you just have to unmute on your side.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, everyone, for that enlightening presentation. I enjoyed it. I appreciate it. Some of you may recall I chaired the planning board back in 1995 during the McCormick administration. We first put the wheels in motion to have this area declared an area in need of redevelopment, and it has come a long way since then. So I think this is great. I'm very happy to see this. I have a couple questions. Is this pilot based on the gross annual revenue or project costs?
Janet or I can answer that. It's not based on the gross avenue revenue, Jim, it's based on a per square foot charge. That is a proxy for revenue. You know, when you have it based on revenue alone, you end up, when there's a downturn in the economy, having a reduction in revenue and a reduction in the pilot payment. So I'll let Jen Credidio, who's our expert from McManaman and Scotland, who also helped negotiate this, address that further.
Great, thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Mike. Jim, it sounds like you are very familiar with pilot agreements generally.
Not a very long time, but I want to.
As you indicated, they're usually based on a percentage of gross revenue or a percentage of project costs. Here, because there are bonds that are being issued, the legislature gives us specific flexibility to be able to define those amounts to be paid more specifically. So here, as Mike was saying, the financial analysts could come up with a per square footage number that escalates over time that they thought was most advantageous to protect the municipality and to generate sufficient revenue for the borough's municipal needs.
Makes sense. Thank you. I assume this is a 30-year pilot, although it wasn't specifically said. Is that correct?
It is 30 years with respect to each different piece. Obviously, it's going to be a long phase-in because it's quite a large project.
Okay. What's the total value?
I'm going to ask Dennis to answer that one.
And Jim
The total
Robinson,
value
is
of the
total-
pilot payments?
Yes. You know.
It was 450 million over time.
450 million. Okay, thank you. And Jen, you said something that makes, I was going to ask when the payments start, and I guess they are going to be phased in based on when the different phases of the project start?
That's absolutely right. They would phase in at substantial completion of each portion of the project, which is usually would get a certificate of occupancy.
By C of O's? Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
And what is the phasing? What is going to be done first? Is it the commercial aspect? Is it the residential aspect? Is that been determined?
That's up for Dave.
Yeah. Jim, the first section is going to include the center core of the development. And if you originally saw the Avalon presentation that was available online that shows what their downtown section was, that's the first phase along with Bass Pro. The second phase would be an extension of that center core towards the water. And that's being done because of permit phasing and things like that, because it takes longer to get the permits for the section next to the water than it does for the main course. Then after, and in that center core, it's a mix of retail, office, and residential.
Okay, good.
And naturally, it's not in the center core, but it's part of the first phase is the Bass Pro.
That's good. And at what point will the residential be done?
The residential is going to be done throughout the project. Okay. Each phase has residential. Probably the third phase is mostly residential. However, those are the phases. It doesn't necessarily mean that the developer is confined to working in phase 1 and phase 2, but right now he's only got approval for phase 1A. He's still got to go through and get the rest of the approval for the rest of phase 1. Then he's going to go to phase 2, and he has to get those approvals. So it appears that most of the residential is going to come later, but that could change. So as a result of that possible change, Mike Baker will tell you that we have a clause in the agreement that says there's a maximum amount of residential units that could be built in any 1 year.
Right, it can, the total number that can be built in any 1 year is 400. We didn't want to have a year where all 2,000 units were built. It needed to be stretched out over time, and from a physical standpoint, building 400 in a year is probably a stretch anyway, so it'll likely be less than that in any 1 year.
Great. That's very, we did the same thing at Lemare, Dave, you might remember. That was phased in over time.
That's correct.
We didn't get a bunch of units all at the same time, back then, the school system and other things. So that's great. I was very happy to see the townhomes will pay, even though it's a pilot, will pay pretty much the same as what they would pay if they were resident, they were paying property taxes. What about the rental units? And do you take the fact that some of them are affordable into consideration there?
Dennis, I think you got to handle that one.
The rental units will pay a pilot of $2.05 a square foot plus 37 cents on the school surcharge for a total of $2.43. The fact that there were affordable units was taken into account in the analysis of ability to pay, but it doesn't have any kind of separate pilot connection.
Makes sense. And is that roughly equivalent to what they would pay if they were paying property taxes?
No.
They're going to be a part.
No,
They're going to be some. Go ahead, Dennis.
No, it's as in all pilots, other than something like a for sale pilot, they're paying much less than property taxes in order to make the deal work.
Okay.
They still have the special assessment that they have to pay.
Correct.
Right. The combination of the special assessment and the pilot are roughly equivalent to the percent of tax pilots that you would normally see, which, you know, range between 10 and 15%.
Are these things that you talked about, are they all inclusive, or will there be some other payments? For instance, will they be subject to the tree bank ordinance to mitigate pollution? Will there be a bid, a business improvement district? Will any of the money go towards the open space fund? The billboards, for instance, billboards can be assessed. You know, they're very valuable.
None of that is specified. The only other revenue stream is from the hotel occupancy tax.
Okay, and
Yeah, but
100% of that?
But Jim,
Town gets
the
100%.
project also dedicated parcel A for open space. The section which is on the bay side of Route 35. The acreage there, I don't remember totally, but I think it was about 10 or 12 acres. And that was something that the DEP asked us to go through and consider as a combined open space. The DEP came up with a certain amount of money to offset that cost. The county came up with a little bit. The developer came up, and the borough came up with a very small amount, so that whole area can be preserved.
That's great.
Dave, do you want to talk about inspection fees and connection fees and the like?
Well, inspection fees are standard, they're borough ordinance, but connection fees for water and sewer are all in addition to this. Okay, plus I mentioned that in addition to water and sewer connection fees, and my guess is they're gonna be significant, probably in the $2.5 to $3 million range for each. Plus, we're going through and getting a water facilities charge for the expenditure that the borough put out for the water treatment plant and for the developer's share of the acquisition of New Hernal to help offset the costs that the borough has paid.
Okay. And the big one that you mentioned, and I did not know this, I was very happy to hear this, $2 million goes to our co-op fund, right?
I'm sorry, Jim, you broke up.
$2 million goes to the co-op fund.
Oh, yeah,
That is correct.
that's correct.
Great. So that's a big benefit to the entire house. Let me switch just for a second to the school board. And you talked about $20 million. Is that part of the 450 or is that separate? Is that?
Mike, do you want to handle that one?
Yeah, well, Dennis can answer.
Or Dennis?
Yeah, it's part of the overall benefit, yes.
All right. And how will that be distributed to them? Will that be lump sum for special projects or capital improvements? Or will that go into their operating so that they can look every year?
Good question, Jim. We get asked that a lot. The money has to come into the borough directly because there's not a statutory mechanism for it to get paid directly to the school board. And then the mayor, council, and the Board of Education will have to get together and determine how those monies are to be spent. They likely will be on joint projects of interest to both the school board and the borough. It likely will not be for operating expenses. It's more of a capital project in nature.
Okay. Was the Board of Education a part of these discussions and negotiations?
They were not. I know were consulted 13 years ago when the deal was first struck about the $20 million, but they were not involved in these discussions. Also should be noted that even though there's a pilot and that the residential properties do not pay land tax, the other properties do pay land tax. And if you look back at Dennis's chart, roughly $2.9 million, I believe, was the number of land tax going to the school board, in addition to the 20 million.
I'm just, has anybody thought out whether that would create a problem if, once we start to build the units, if money doesn't go into their operating expense?
Dennis, why don't you talk about that? Because you did an analysis of the school costs versus school versus revenue from the project. And I think you just put
right. We analyzed each component of the project as to its cost to both the borough and to the school district, and in all cases, the projects paid for themselves.
Great. Thank you. I have one last question, and I just thought of this right as the meeting started. I don't know why. Nobody will be happy with it. But what if the town in the next 30 years conducts a revaluation? Does that change this in any way? Are there provisions to reopen this? Because that might throw everything off, might it not?
Mike, would you like me to?
It doesn't change anything. It may change actual calculations because your land tax is based on land value. And if your land value goes up, it would change. But typically, when values go up, the rate goes down and you end up basically the same place. Same is true for the townhomes. As to the multifamily, there is no assessment calculation. It's just purely based upon square footage.
And Jen, did you have anything to add, or Dennis covered it?
Dennis covered it perfectly.
Okay.
Thank you. It's obvious a lot of time, effort, energy, and thought went into all of this. So I appreciate everything all of you had to say very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim, for those questions. I had a feeling you had a few to ask. I do see that there are two other hand raises at this point, and I also see that our tax assessor is on the line. So, Joe, I'm going to go to you first. Joe Cups, all you have to do is unmute yourself. Do we need a name and address, Jess, since he's acting as our tax collector? I think that should suffice, correct?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Am I unmuted now?
You are, Joe.
Can everybody hear me?
I can
Can
hear
everybody
you.
hear me?
Yes,
We can
okay.
hear you loud and clear, Joe.
Yeah, I just wanted to get on and tell everybody that it was an education for me with some of the laws and the things that were in there I had other concerns besides the fourth sentence, I guess it is, in the recital M, but the letter that Mike Baker put together massages those concerns. I want to thank Donna Roberts for reading into the record the letter. As I said, it's written by lawyers, so it's not written by a tax assessor, but it does help with the process. And I've been assured that the last questions that I had today, I was going to get the information to better do my job when the time comes for this project, and things start actually getting built there and roads get put in and all that whatnot, and when the land value is changing. So I just wanted to get on and thank everybody for helping me understand the process a little better. As somebody said, there's been a lot of time put into this. I think Jim Robinson said that there's a lot of time put into this, and Jen Credito and Mike Baker and Mike DuPont and Dave Samuel and everybody else and Donna Roberts for putting their time into this and coming up with hopefully is a good thing for the borough. There is no guarantees. 1.2 million square feet of office may never be built, but something else will, or some changing thing will happen, as I understand it, and it hopefully will be good for Sayreville. So I just wanted to get on and say that, and wish everybody a good night. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Joe, very much. And once again, thank you to every single professional. This has been a Herculean task for decades. So I appreciate the fact that we have the best team of professionals right here on this call, including Joe. And I know you'll continue to work together, because as much work that's gone into it this far, there's a lot more work to be done as we watch this come to fruition. So thank you, gentlemen and ladies. I also have another hand raised here. Mr. Rittenhouse, name and address, please, for the record.
Arthur Rittenhouse, 33 Delacat Lane, Sayreville. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for all the hard work that's gone into this. My main concern has been a concern I've had since 1996 when I was on the Board of Education, and that is that pilot programs do not allow the money to go to the Board of Education, as Mr. Baker made an excellent presentation. And as he still said, even though there's approximately $30 million in there, if the Borough Council wants to keep it, it doesn't go to the schools. So I would like to, when I was on the Borough Council, I had set up a committee of 3 council members and 3 Board of Education members to discuss pilot money. I would encourage the council to do that again, revise that so that you do get input from the schools. Surrounding communities have been very successful using pilot programs, working with the schools. One is Woodbridge, and it's something that Sayreville should be doing. But the project overall, I think, is great, and I think it's a great step forward, and thank you for all the time and effort. One quick question on the roads. Will the Main Street, I couldn't tell by looking at the maps on the screen. Is the Main Street bypass still connected to that, and will that be one of the first phases?
It will not be one of the first phases. It's going to probably be much later. What the agreement calls for is that once the Main Street bypass is constructed, up to a specific limit, then the developer will have to construct his segment. The developer was very concerned that if Main Street bypass doesn't get constructed, he's going to have basically a road to nowhere. So during our negotiations, that's how the wording came forward, which means that if the borough's proceeding with the Main Street bypass, then the developer is going to proceed with his section of the Main Street bypass.
Thank you for that, Dave. I appreciate that clarification.
Okay, the only problem with that is, and that's going to create more problems on Main Street, and that along with the Mako property is something that the borough is going to have to look at. That's going to cause a tremendous amount of traffic to go on Main Street, where if the bypass, even if it traveled through undeveloped part of Riverton, would help alleviate the traffic and bring it down to the Parkway and Route 9.
Mr. Rittenhouse, the problem with that is that there's 3 phases, basically, as you know, for the Main Street bypass. The first phase brings you somewhere up to the Main Street development. Then it takes, the second phase is the next phase that goes between Main Street development over by the steel mill and then toward in direction of the development, Riverton development. And then there's the last stage, which is the Riverton section. And that Riverton section is going to be built in conjunction with the phase that's over in the area of the steel mill. So I agree with you. It would be nice if we can go through and build the whole thing up front. Unfortunately, there's a lot of permits involved in each of the phases, as you're aware. And Main Street Bypass has been a road that has been on the master plan for a long time. It's a road that is badly needed in the borough. And I agree with you that it should be built as soon as possible, but it takes time to get through the permitting process.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Art. Have a good night. Well, I know you'll stay on, so thank you for your questions. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I do see Jim has one more question. I believe it was about the tree bank. He had asked it earlier. So Jim, did you want to ask that question again?
Yes, please. Will they be required to contribute to the tree bank?
Jim, with regard to that, there has been a lot of discussion. They have requested not to have to. Our position at this point in time is that they have to. Either they have to plant additional trees on site to make up that difference, or they have to go through and comply with the requirements. In the future, we may have to have some discussions about going through and better utilizing the trees in other locations, possibly in borough parks, things like that, so that they can be fully utilized. And that is going to be an ongoing discussion, but at this point in time, they are proceeding with the understanding that they're required to comply with that ordinance.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad it's on the radar screen. Appreciate that.
Thank you again, Jim. All right, at this point, I do see that Art, your hand is up again, but I think it was still up from your previous questions. So unless you had something new to add, Art, did we answer all of your questions? Yes. Okay,
Yes.
Wonderful. Thanks, Art.
Yeah,
All right,
thank you.
no problem. At this point, I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion.
Motion to close the public portion?
Is there a second?
Second.
So we need to close and adopt the ordinance.
And thank you very much, Jess. Can I have a motion, please, to adopt the ordinance?
Yes, I move the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Roberts,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Marr,
Yes.
and Novak.
Yes.
Okay, public hearing on ordinance number 522-21, an ordinance providing for the special assessment of the cost of certain stormwater, sanitary sewer, water, walkway, streetscape, road, traffic, intersection, and parking improvements, together with other project improvements, all with respect to block 257, lot 3.04, block 257, lot 3.052, block 257.01, lots 1 and 1.01, block 257.01, lot 1.10, block 257.01, lot 4, block 257.01, lot 5, block 257.01, lot 6, block 257.01, lot 20, block 257.01, lot 30.12, block 257.02, lot 1, block 257.02, lot 1.01, and block 257.02, lot 22, collectively commonly known as Parcel C within the Sayreville Waterfront Redevelopment Area, all in the Borough of Sayreville, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, and authorizing the execution of a master special assessment agreement and certain other actions in connection therewith.
At this point, open to the public for any and all questions regarding ordinance number 522-21. If you wish to speak, please press *9. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion and adopt the ordinance.
Move to close the public portion
And to adopt the ordinance.
and to adopt the ordinance.
Thank you very much.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Roberts,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Selena,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Public hearing on ordinance number 523-21, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 26, Land Development of the Revised General Ordinances of the Borough of Sayreville to amend Section 26-110, fees and deposits.
Okay, at this point, I will once again open to the public to, for any and all questions relating to ordinance number 523-21. Please press star 9 if you wish to speak or question anything
Mayor?
regarding. Yes, Donna.
Did I need to ask for an adoption of that previous ordinance?
Yes, you should have. Did you, can we go
We
back and
closed
amend
the
that?
public portion.
No, but then I asked for clarification in order to adopt the ordinance. Did I not, Jess? I thought that you
yes,
said that, but if
Okay.
you,
Nope,
If you'd
that's
like-
fine. Just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Mr. Dupont, do we want to make this nice, neat and clean and go back and just redo that motion?
I heard it, unless Mr. Baker thinks that there's another need, but I think we're good to go.
Mr. Baker, you okay?
If you wouldn't mind, if there's any question, just for the record, I wouldn't mind having Councilman Roberts make the motion and then vote again. That would be fine with me.
So Donna, the motion will be to close the public session and adopt the ordinance 522-21.
Yes,
So before
I
we do,
tripped over my words.
no, I understand. Donna. I actually think you said it, but again, I'm still recovering here, so I get a little, want to make sure
Oh,
I'm not
Jesus.
up. Before we move back to make that motion for 522-21, we already have ordinance number 523-21 open right now, so I think it'd be in our best interest. to finish
That's
that
correct.
business.
Mayor. We can always circle back.
Yeah, so let's finish the business then under ordinance number 523-21. Seeing no public, no individuals from the public wishing to question or speak on that ordinance, I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion and adopt the ordinance. So that is planning and zoning, Councilwoman Marr.
Thank you. I move the public hearing be closed and the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Mar,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Selena,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
And now in the interest to make certain that there are no questions or confusions, we're going to circle back to ordinance number 522-21. I'll entertain a motion to once again close the public portion and adopt the ordinance. Councilwoman Roberts,
I move the public hearing be closed. The ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law. Second.
roll call, please.
Councilpersons Roberts,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Selena,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Once again, to our professionals, thank you very much for all of the hard work that you put into this, and to the council as well. And I truly appreciate the work of the redevelopment agency. As I've said a million times in the past, it is my favorite committee. And it is where really things progress and change happen in Sayreville. So great job to everybody. Continue the fabulous work. At this
Thank you.
point-
Thank you, Mayor.
You're very welcome. At this point, I'm going to move to appointments for the OEM coordinators, deputy coordinator of the Borough of Sayreville. So I received notification from Chief Zabrowski of the following appointments. The Borough of Sayreville OEM coordinator for the 3-year term will be Chief Zabrowski. The Borough of Sayreville OEM deputy coordinator will be Captain Daniel Plumacher. The Borough of Saraville OEM Deputy Coordinator also will be Police Auxiliary Chief Chris Bardsley. And the Borough of Saraville OEM Deputy Coordinator will also be Patrolman David Sibilli. So we'll move those appointments as
I
listed.
move the report be approved. On roll
Second.
call vote.
Thank you very much, Mary. Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Delina,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And now we'll move on to the introduction of the following ordinance, ordinance number 524-21. Jess?
An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 26, Land Development of the Revised General Ordinances of the Borough of Saraville to amend Section 26-99.6 Stormwater Control.
That's to Councilman Delina.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the following ordinance be approved and a public hearing be held on April 26, 2021.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Delina,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
At this point, we're going to move on to consent agenda resolutions. If there's anyone from the public that wishes to ask a question or have any comment on consent agenda resolutions only, please press *9 now. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda resolutions.
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda items.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Delina,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
I do have a question on the bill list that I just didn't have time to get answered prior to the meeting. It is for the Metuchen Center, Inc. There's a lot of athletic equipment that we are purchasing for the Saraville Athletic Association and Little League. Since they're not directly the recreation department, is this a common practice? And it just seems like such a very big number.
Councilman Delina or Mr. Frank, or actually not Delina, that would be Councilman Enriquez or Mr. Frankel. Did you wish to answer that?
That number, every year, Donna, we do pay for uniforms, some part of the uniforms for these, for the Little League and for the Saraville AA. And that's where that number comes from.
All right, because it's, actually, I didn't see uniforms on it. It's balls and soccer nets and
Balls and
baseball.
supplies. It's part of, we give each municipally sponsored organization a budget every year for the recreation department, and this is part of that budget.
Okay, and is there a way to get to become a municipally sponsored league? I know we have two, that's probably enough, but I was just wondering if we have a process for that.
A process?
Yes.
I guess you could petition the council to become a municipally sponsored organization, yes.
Oh, okay, great. And then the only other question I had is, do we always go to Metuchen Center, or is that bid?
That is not bid. There are fewer and fewer organizations or companies that do this. It eliminates the mail order because sometimes the mail order has not worked out as well, even though it might be a few dollars cheaper. We tend to try to want to give it to local businesses.
And Mr.
Okay.
Frankel, isn't that a Saraville business, I believe, on Embroidery Street?
Embroidery Street is, I think that is Metuchen Center. Yes, that is.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
It's a local business.
Okay, any other questions, Donna? I think we're okay then. So did we move forward with that resolution? So was that a yes then, Donna, after that question?
That was a yes. My microphone went out.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much. Jess, was that the end of our roll call?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Then we have two resolutions to be read in full.
Yes. Resolution number 2021-96, whereas NJSA 48:4-8 provides that the budget as advertised shall be read in full at the public hearing, or that it may be read by its title only if, one, at least 1 week prior to the date of the hearing, a complete copy of the approved budget as advertised shall be posted in a public place where public notices are customarily posted in the principal public building, and B, copies are made available to each person requesting the same during said week during the public hearing. Now therefore be resolved by the Borough Council of the Borough of Saraville that it is hereby declared that the conditions of NJSA 48:4-8, 1A and B have been met, and therefore the budget for 2020 shall be read by title only.
Thank you, Jess. I'll open to the public, and I already see a hand up. So Jim Ravel, can you please state your name and address for the record? Oh, there you are, Jim. I see you. I saw your hand up. Did you have a question? I think not. Okay. Anybody else with a question for that first resolution? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve. I'm sorry.
No, you got to close the public.
Close the public first and then motion.
Sorry, I make a motion to close the public portion and approve the resolution.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilperson Selena,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 2021-97, introduction of the 2021 local municipal budget of the Borough of Saraville, County of Middlesex for the fiscal year 2021. Be it resolved that the following statements of revenues and appropriations shall constitute the municipal budget for the fiscal year 2021. Be it further resolved that said budget be published in the Home News Tribune in the issue of May 15, 2021. The governing body of the Borough of Saraville does hereby approve the following as the budget for the year 2021. Notice is hereby given that the budget and tax resolution is hereby approved by the Borough Council of the Borough of Saraville, County of Middlesex on May 10th, 2021. A hearing on the budget and tax resolution will be held virtually on May 10th, 2021 at 7:00 p.m., at which time and place objections to said budget and tax resolution for the year 2021 may be presented by taxpayers or other interested persons. The remote public meeting video conference link or the telephone numbers will be posted in advance of the meeting on the homepage at www.saraville.com.
Okay, thank you, Jess. I'll open to the public for any and all questions regarding Resolution 2021-97. If you wish to speak, please press *9. Seeing nobody wishing to speak on that resolution, I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion and adopt the resolution.
I make a motion to close the public portion and adopt the resolution.
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilperson Selena,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enriquez,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts.
Before I go ahead and vote on this, I just want to thank our CFO and our business administrator for working so hard on this budget. They really did have a big mountain to overcome. When we began, it was a 7.6 point increase that we were looking at. Then we brought it down to 5.6, and we're at about 3.9 because of the diligence of our CFO, Denise, looking into how we can use some of the CARES Act money coming in. So some of the challenges, just so you know, that were overcome is not that property taxes were not met, but that some of the challenges were interest on income, park and ride income, construction, recreation income, and other revenue streams that really were cut during the pandemic. So it really was a mountain to overcome. They did a great job in the face of these obstacles. And just to give everyone a foundation, the operating budget is something we can't change. It's either mandated by statute or by contract. So the only leeway we have is in capital, which is all of our services, and they were able to really maintain the service level. So I do want to thank them, and I vote yes.
Thank you for that, Donna. And was that the end of our roll call, Jess?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And I echo Councilwoman Roberts' sentiment to really everyone involved within that budget preparation. The last two budgets have not been easy as a result of the pandemic. And I think everyone did a tremendous job in the face of some really, really challenging times. As Councilwoman Roberts mentioned, it was really our revenues that were down, as is happening throughout the other municipalities as well. And I think that everyone did a very good job at trying to bring that number down as low as possible. So once again, the homeowners do not have to bear that big of a burden, because we are all desperately trying to get out of this COVID-19 pandemic and the ramifications of that. We're going to move on now to our borough attorney. Mr. Dupont, do you have anything for this agenda?
No, I think we've had enough lawyers for this meeting.
Said no lawyer ever. No, thank you very much, Mike. We're going to open to the public then for any and all comments. If you wish to speak on any items on the agenda or not, please press *9. Seeing none. Oh, no, we have one. So last four digits are 1482. So if you're calling in from 1482, you're in the public portion. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hello.
Yes.
Good evening.
Hello.
Okay, good evening. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Karen Biebert, and I live at 9 Burlington Road in the Parlin section. I hope everyone had an enjoyable break. Over the past weekend, the end of the break, essentially, I had ran into several parents that had approached me and asked me if I knew why the Cerebral Little League Parade was canceled. For those of you listening or in the room, if you're not sure what Cerebral Little League is, it's an independent youth baseball league on Washington Road in the Parlin section. It was started in 1952 by a very well-known citizen and a wonderful man named Mickey Sedlak, who also has the recreation center on Dolan Street named after him. The parade has been a long-standing tradition, almost an institution for decades. 2 nights prior to opening day, which was this past Saturday, the parents were notified by email regarding the cancellation of the parade, and indicated that the town would not allow it due to COVID. But I would like to bring to the mayor and council's attention several other events that have taken place during the pandemic that are similar in style and perhaps number. One of them, I have 5 examples to list quickly. One of them was the OLV Christmas tree lighting involved. The street, Main Street, was blocked, for a period, and there was quite a few people outside. Rosary prayer chain from the high school to the Knights of Columbus, kind of like parade style, people on the walkway from one location to the other. There was a Black Life protest or walk also as well, I believe last summer. There was an Easter egg hunt run by Cerebral Athletic Association. There was also Cerebral Athletic Association trophy and dedication ceremony for Jerry at the soccer field, I believe in November. So I think they were just kind of perplexed as to, these all took place during the pandemic, and I think they were just looking for clarification on what constitutes or determines if events can be held and who in the town is making the decision regarding that. Because I've been on most of the meetings of recent, and I don't recall hearing anything of you guys, it being brought up or you guys even voting or anything or, discussing it. So,
well, thank you very much for that, Karen, because this is actually Councilwoman Roberts called me just over the past weekend. I think it was, right, Donna? Or this past week. I knew nothing of it. Myself, as the mayor, had no idea that that was happening or it wasn't happening. I don't know if the council had anything to do with that, but if the communication went out that the mayor and council had somehow formally canceled a parade, I can tell you this mayor didn't, because...
No, I believe the communication specifically said our town. So whoever our town is, that's why we're just looking for a little clarity and transparency, actually, who called that decision. If you guys didn't, who do make the rules of the town, I would think you would be concerned as well. And with the kids in mind, they were just also wondering about another thing that came up was the Berks Park Day Camp being held. I know South Amboy has announced that they are having their day camp, and it's taking place, and the 4th of July fireworks. So, just looking to do safely things, obviously safely, events, and they have taken place. So I think they kind of felt a little discriminated against that simple parade of 2 blocks going from Robin Place to Margaret Street wasn't held. I'm sure some of them might be listening. I don't know if anyone has anything else to say. This is a great venue to do it, and I encourage people to do that when they do come to me with issues, and I do not mind advocating on behalf of them, obviously, either. But I do think that it's pretty concerning that we do need to find out why this decision was made and whom.
Ms. Bieber, can I ask, you were speaking to the parents, so I would encourage then, if you speak to anybody in the Saraville Little League with their executive board, Councilwoman Marr, I believe that you're a part of the Saraville Little League, as is, I believe, our recreation council person, Mr. Enriquez. And I think you guys are pretty involved. So I'm certain that the Little League organization knows who spoke to them in reference to canceling that parade or the decision that was made in order to do so. So maybe they can shed a little bit of light on that. I do not know from council. I'll ask Mr. Frankel, did you have communication with the Saraville Little League?
No, I did not.
Mayor.
Yeah.
This is Councilman Enriquez.
Hello.
I will gladly step in and interject here. It was over the advice of our recreation board. I did discuss it with Saraville Little League Executive Board, their president, and several members, and it was decided in the best interest of safety. It's a parade. The kids bunch up. Parents bunch up. We still do not want people standing on the sides of the road, congregating yet. This was all in safety. We actually discussed possibly having a closing ceremony if a closing ceremony parade, if possible, if it seems feasible at the time. As you know, and as you can see, we are still being very cautious here with COVID. As you see, our numbers have constantly been steady or progressing in the wrong direction these last 2 months. So
understood, and I'm sure the numbers weren't great in the winter either. But can you please explain to me? The Saraville Trophy AA Trophy and dedication ceremony was very well attended. The Easter egg hunt, the trick or trunk. Why were these things? Can you tell me what the distinguishing line? Where's the line in the sand? I guess I'm asking for when it comes to making these decisions. I thought these decisions would be made by the mayor and council for one and all. I didn't realize the recreation board would fall under that. They're an independent organization. Just like if I wanted to do something, or whatever, I come to you guys, not to the recreation board. And why were these other things allowed? Clearly, and they did not allow that.
Okay, they were,
because we were all during a pandemic. All those things I mentioned were clearly under the pandemic, and some of them were similarly styled to a parade. And essentially, this parade has been in my backyard for decades, and I can clearly see it's not that well attended. There's a certain amount of teams, and I'm sure things could be socially spaced, and to give the kids a little hope. That's all. I'm not calling up to give people a hard time. I'm just very perplexed at how all these other things would fly during the winter, even when the numbers were quite higher, and they wouldn't allow this now. And it's a completely outdoor. They allowed them to play. That's just
okay.
Kind of
all right. I'd first like to state that we have not allowed a single parade in this town since COVID started. Secondly, great care and guidance went into the Easter egg hunt and the trick or trunk. We were able to space everybody out accordingly, only allowed 50 people in at a time, spaced out for each event. If you attended either of them, you could see there was never a large group of people in one area. And according, working with the Saraville Little League, which I talked with their president, Bob Corby, and it was decided that it's in the best interest right now, and it would be better if we could do a closing ceremony if it's available to us. There was
I would
no
hope some kind of something. I mean, again, the Saraville AA Trophy and dedication to Jerry was.
So Councilman Enriquez, thank you. I just knew that you probably had already had conversations, and I know that our rec advisory board and yourself included, especially as we continue to organize, awaiting our new rec director to start. You've done a lot. You've really worked hard in order to keep our town and our children safe, especially at a time when we know our COVID numbers seem to be impacting young people now more than the individuals that it was impacting in the winter and previously, because many people have been able to get vaccinated. So we know, based on our numbers, like you mentioned, that younger people are in fact starting to contract the virus more. So I appreciate Councilman Enriquez, you working with Bob Corby. Councilman Enriquez, did Mr. Corby, the president, agree with that decision that you guys had with the rec advisory board and yourself to cancel that parade in the interest of public safety? Would that be a fair statement?
Yes, he was in agreement. He thought it would be a better idea for a closing ceremony if we could do that at the time. He did understand concerns of not just the people in the town, but, you know, the parents too. Not everybody had the same feelings of the people you talk with. There are people still that are going to the fields that won't even walk next to each other, but they do want to allow their kids activities, so they are allowing them. So it's a hard balancing act, to say the least, of trying to accommodate, but we will side on the side of caution every time.
I love the idea that you guys came up with then, Damon, and that Corby said to do maybe a closing ceremony. I love that we're thinking that the organization, for the record, I love their opening day ceremony. I haven't missed a year and I can't tell you how long. They do a beautiful job. And I like that we're thinking outside the box of doing maybe a closing ceremony, one that will be even more robust so people won't have to make that decision. It's so hard nowadays when organizations do activities that you want to be a part of, and then for your own safety and the safety of your family, you have to have that conversation with your kids or somebody to say, listen, it's just not safe for us. So I give you a lot of credit, Councilman Enriquez, and to the Little League that clearly worked to make that decision to err on the side of safety, as hard as it might be. I look forward to the closing ceremony. My fingers are crossed every day that we get over this hump right now. Maybe, Damon, in order to help quell, it seems like it's a little bit of miscommunication. I appreciate Ms. Biebert coming to advocate for those parents she heard from. Maybe you can reach out to Bob Corby and ask him to put out a little bit of a more clarifying communique, letting them know that it was a collected effort to make that decision to not hold the parade in the safety and best interest. I don't like when there's miscommunication, especially during this time, that can create some animosity or divisiveness. It'd be nice, Damon, if maybe we can get Bob Corby to put out something, since Ms. Biebert seems to be conveying that there are some people that are quite up in arms and pointing and looking at the town as if there's an inequity.
Mayor, I'd just like to point out, we've never canceled any parades as far as Memorial Day parades. The veterans have always made that own decision for themselves. And also to clarify, Ms. Biebert brought up that it was announced that there would be a parade and then canceled within short notice. As a parent of a player, I never received any notification that there was going to be a parade in the first place. So for my team personally, that didn't happen. I can't speak on about other teams.
And Michelle, to piggyback you, I am also a coach there and part of that organization, and we did not put out anything of a parade happening this year.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that, because like I said, I didn't see anything on my calendar, and I always put that in. It's one of my, I've actually missed family events in order to attend that. Actually, I've missed my own daughter's softball games to be a part of their opening day. So thank you, Councilwoman Marr and Councilman Enriquez, for letting me know I didn't miss something. Because I'll be honest with you, as somebody that is a long hauler and I'm still recovering every day from COVID, I probably would have had to not attend for the first time ever, because myself, I'm not comfortable yet in those large crowds. But thanks for the clarification. Damon, maybe reach out to Bob Corby, make sure that if he's willing to put out a communique so we don't have that. I just don't like those rumor mills, and I appreciate all of your hard work. Again, Damon, it's been tough. I know for you, you have been very, very busy. I was surprised that you didn't actually go into the Easter Bunny costume on the egg hunt, and really the recognizing board should be commended. They did a great job organizing that.
Yeah, I'll discuss that a little bit on my statements, but yeah, it's been challenging, and I can't wait to get this new rec director in here to ease my burden a little bit here and let him do his job.
I hear you. I do see two other hands, and then we'll take those public comments, and then we will close and move on to our next meeting. There's a telephone call coming in from 3303. So would that individual please identify themselves, state their name and address, and any and all comments? You're in the public portion. So who's ever calling from 3303. All right. The hand is up.
They have to unmute on their end.
So if you're calling in from 3303, you just need to unmute yourself. And it still looks like it's muted on my end. So unless they unmute, I'm going to move to the next caller, and then we'll try and come back to 3303. So the next caller is dialing in from 1482. Was that Miss Bieber?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Somehow the call dropped, but I just want to thank everyone for their input. I was definitely not insinuating that there was anything. I was just addressing concerns, and I also did not state any email said that there was going to be a parade. I guess the parents assumed because of opening day and the normal traditions from decades past, but then they were notified 2 days later. That was clearly my statement. So I just want to re-clarify that. Thank you all again for your time on the matter, and I appreciate and I hope for the kids that some different activities will be available, especially with schools opening up and everything. Hopefully the Brooks Park Kids Camp will take place, and you never know. So.
Okay, thank you very much. I do see that the caller from, oh no, we lost 3303. It looks like you're unmuted. Please state your name and address for the record.
Tom Palando, 15 Oakwood Drive. I just want to address, I heard Ms. Bieber say about the trophy dedication. It wasn't a trophy dedication. It was a dedication in honor of Jerry Us, who passed away. There was no trophies given out to children. It was just a dedication for Jerry Us and his family. Children were playing soccer before that, and that's all it was a dedication for Jerry Us. He deserves it and much more. So I don't know why that's even being brought up. The man was a great man, and for 15 years, he worked very hard for this borough. As far as sponsorship organizations, Ms. Roberts, we have the Sayville AA, Sayville Little League, men's softball, and the Bombers football. Those are the 4 organizations that are in town, that are sponsorship organizations, just not the AA or the Little League.
And I think the Sayville Junior Bombers also, right? That's a separate.
Yeah, that's what I said, the Junior Bombers. Okay, so there's 4 organizations. There used to be 5 with the Sayville Soccer Club, which was, as you know, is no longer in existence. So that's these organizations. The Little League and the AA has been around probably 60, 70 years, as well as the Bombers, which was part of the Leprechauns and the Morgan Pollen Panthers, and men's softball. So, okay.
Thank you for that,
So to bring up Jerry Us's name, we should know what we're talking about before we say things. Have a good night.
Thank you. And let's see. I have a couple more numbers here, and I don't know if this is one that I had mentioned before. 0343. If you're calling in from 0343, please state your name and number for the record, or your name and address for the record.
Hi. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. We just need your name and address
Hi.
for the record, please.
Sharon Rodas, 22nd Street in Sayreville. I just have a question on the Burks Park. Hi, everyone. I have a question on the summer camp Burks Park. My son has always attended that. So a lot of parents are talking like they haven't heard anything and they don't have answers on it. And they're just wondering, where are children? You know, we're all just so concerned about the children. Will that program be happening, being you don't have a rec director? You know, all the sports are starting up, but how about that program?
I'll actually defer over to both Dan Frankel and Damon. I know Dan and I have had conversations regarding that, and I'd asked him to look into how we can safely do that if we have the volunteers that we've had in the past, despite not having officially a rec director in place. I don't know, Damon, if you have more info. I think you probably have more info, Damon.
We do, and it has been an ongoing discussion. No final decisions have been made yet, but we are having discussions on how we could safely go about having a camp right now. Like I said, discussions are still going on. As soon as some suitable arrangements are made and some decisions are made, we will definitely put it out on the Sayreville rec site and the town site. I wish I could give you a better answer right now. My
Other
kids have
towns are
participated
already-
in the past. I understand other towns. I do understand other towns. Not other towns are as cautious as we're being. Unfortunately, we don't have a rec director heading this up right now, which we will shortly. Right now, it's Mr. Frankel and the rec board and myself, and we're trying to make the best decisions for our town right now and our kids.
You have all of this. You have all of this sporting up and running. You know, like it's perfectly running. The women that run that Burks Park have been doing it for like 20 years. You know, it's the same group of people. This is a program that the children are just so eager to hear about, you know, and with how, you know, school has been, and it's been a pretty depressing year for children. I hope that you really get this approved and get this done for the kids.
I'm in total agreement with you. I wish I could say yes right now to you. I truly do. But unfortunately, I can't right now. I'm telling you, it is in discussion. Hopefully, we will have an answer for you shortly. That's all I could say about it really right now. But it is on our radar. We are discussing.
Okay.
What do you need to approve it? Like, what are you looking at? I don't understand how other towns are approved and working ahead. And like, what are you looking at?
What are we looking at? We're looking at all the state. Let me explain how the individual sporting organizations work. They are not run by town. The town helps fund them. They are run through their own 501c organizations. They have their own boards and they run their own organizations. The town just helps them out with fields and funding. We do not run those organizations in any way. The summer camp, we do. And unfortunately, like I said already, we do not have a rec director in place to spearhead it. We have two clerks that are doing their best at the current time, along with Mr. Frankel and the rec board, to try and find the best safe way that we could go ahead and go forward with these camps.
And Councilman Enriquez, I'll just add a couple of things for you. So One of the things that I know that we spoke to, and Dan Franklin, I know you've reached out to some of the other towns. Saraville's very unique, and many of the other towns actually, not only do they have a rec director, which we are working through that, and that I have faith is going to change very soon, but our Burks Park camp is very unique compared to other places. Number one, to compare, I'm not even going to compare the sports organizations to our rec program when it comes to the summer program, because as Damon said, the rec organizations, those are run 100% by volunteers. They're 504(3)s, the monies that come in, it's a totally different situation. One of the things we have to keep in mind when it comes to this particular summer program is it is outside. The women that have run this program in the past, you are absolutely right, Ms. They are wonderful. But we also have to reach out to them, make sure that they are safe and comfortable with the potential number of young people that would be coming in. But these women can't do it alone. So we do ask for young people to help volunteer, and they do get paid in order to help facilitate some of the activities with the children. So it's a little bit of a heavy lift because Mr. Frankel is looking into everything from the executive orders to the CDC requirements. The amount of money that we put into that program from the past, and now what that new amount of money is going to be in order to make certain that we're following all CDC guidelines. So that way we don't have a liability as a municipality. It's a little bit more daunting because of that. And one of the other things we have to look at is how do we deal, because this is one of the most popular camps around here in Saraville. My own children have gone to it for a long time. If we have to limit the number of children coming in, what is the fairest and most appropriate way in order to do that? So there is a lot of work going on in the background. Those are just a few of them, but I know those are some of the bigger logistics because we want as many kids safely to participate in the program. We want to make sure we can offer a good program, not something that's thrown together where people feel like this was not worth the endeavor, and it also put people at risk. But Ms. Rodas, you understand that, I know that, and I agree with you. I can't wait to see the kids playing there, playing on the field. So I'm just going to ask for a little bit of patience, and please talk to those parents and let them know we are here. I don't think there's anyone on the council that doesn't want to see that program up and running, and hopefully we can make it better. I know, again, Damon's very excited because I'm hoping that our new rec director will even have some newer ideas in order to make it bigger and better and safer. But
are you interviewing a rec director? Like, do you have somebody that may be starting shortly, or there's just like no one on the line?
No, actually, we've gone through this with a couple of council meetings now, so I don't know what I'm able to say right now. Again, I can kick it over either to Mr. DuPont or Damon or to Dan Frankel in reference to that, because we were going through that hiring process and we have gone through that hiring process. But I don't know if where we are with that I can actually say publicly.
Yeah, I wouldn't go in.
Damon, you can say publicly, it's okay.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna make the announcement tonight, when it came up to, my turn to speak, but we have hired a rec director.
Wonderful.
Who will be starting May 3rd. His name's Brian Van Dungen. And we're gonna welcome him with open arms. Can't wait for him to start, to say the least. But yes, we do have a rec director in place, getting ready to start.
So
that's wonderful. I have just one last question about 4th of July fireworks. I know it's far in advance, but I'm always thinking about the kids in the town. They've suffered so much with the schools being closed and, being apart from their friends. And this has been a very hard time for them. And that's only why I'm asking these questions. And can you my last thing was about 4th of July. Is that something you are considering to move forward with?
Well, now that we have a rec director announcement, Damon, I don't know if we want to turn around and put it. Can we, Ms. Rodas, I don't know, but can you give us maybe till next meeting? Because I think we all want to see the skies lit up again, and not for nothing, but that was.
Well, I could give. Mayor, I can give a little bit on this. We have had discussions. it has been proposed through the rec board to possibly pushing it off to Sayville Day and do, because that will give us more time and hopefully more things will be open and numbers will be down, that we could do fireworks then on Sayville Day versus the 4th of July. But it's very fluid right now, and more to come on that.
I think the big kids need the fireworks too. So if all things going the right way, I would love to see that celebration. So like
Yeah, I think we all would. And, you know, the way the vaccinations are going and the way Murphy's talking today, he expects people in New Jersey to be 70% vaccinated by the end of May. So I don't know why, you know, everyone's talking nervous about 4th of July already.
I think we've just
That's
been
not really very promising.
Yeah, I think everyone's very, very cautious. Like I said, I started to take things instead of like, you know, by the year, seeing how things are going. And I want that positive move. One of the things I always...
Yes, so do we.
Yeah.
So do we as a town. Let's open up and like be happy. Let's do happy events for the kids and for the town.
Yeah, no, I can't. I agree with you. The sooner we can do that, the better, and the safer. That would really be the best. Thank you so much for calling in and for your questions. If you don't have anything else,
good night now.
Good night. Is there anybody else on the line with a question? Let's see. Just one more. I see 1482. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, Mayor Kilpatrick. It's Karen Biebert again. I think what Mr. Polando had said, basically putting words in my mouth, was a very unfair statement of his, because in no way was I ever insinuating anything negative regarding Jerry Ust. I knew him from when I was 16. He used to make pizza for his family out of our business, okay? I know the man. We love the man. The town loves the man. So I don't appreciate words being put in my mouth that clearly did not come from them, okay? And I think Tom knows me as a person to think that I would even insinuate that. I was clearly using the event as an example of a well-populated event that had been held, okay? I thought trophies were presented with it, but clearly it was a well-populated event. So, and it should have been. He's a great guy. But again, we've had things, and that was my only reason. That was not the only example I used, nor were AA events the only examples that I used. So there was a variety of events. So I just want to clarify that for the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Duly noted. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
You're welcome. Mr. Rittenhouse.
Hi, Mayor. When you opened public, my speaker wasn't working right. Just a couple of events I wanted to talk about. Shade Tree Commission is doing the seedlings on April 24th from 9 a.m. till 12 noon. And I believe we're also going to have the dedication of the community garden.
Yes, I can confirm that, Mr. Rittenhouse. So thankfully, we are on track. The fence is already installed, and I'm very excited to announce that Sayreville will be having a breaking ground ceremony for their first community garden. Our environmental commission has worked very hard along with Mr. Quigley and Dan Frankel to make this happen. And I'm just really excited that the environmental commission can get outside, get their hands dirty. We've talked about composting. It'll be a way to get our seniors involved. So it will be at the senior center on that backfield. We are accepting any donations, any gardening donations. Funds are limited, so we welcome any donations. Clean out your garage. I've already received my first donation from a resident, flower seeds, which we're very excited about. But just a simple breaking ground ceremony to celebrate this Herculean task. It was not easy. But everyone is really excited, and I'm happy that Shade Tree Commission can share the day with us. And I know I reached out to Elise Barone. She's having a cleanup down at Kennedy Park the same day. So we're all celebrating Earth Day here in Sayreville.
That is fabulous news. I did see the little plot of land being taken care of and being laid out. Great job. I feel like we're jumping into our committee reports though. So with that, it does not.
I'm still.
Oh, go ahead, Art. I'm sorry. I know you said you had
This
another.
is also in conjunction with Arbor Day,
Okay.
this whole celebration, Earth Day, Arbor Day. We are at Tree City again.
Yes.
The other event will be on May the 13th. And again, this is going to be our second night at the museum, and we're going to be honoring police, fire, and EMTs. Our one this past week went very well, honoring industry. We had quite a few residents come out, and we had former residents come who had worked at some of the industries in town. And it was a very good program. So it's, we have things, we're getting people out. There were a lot of people who got to see people here. So we're using that vehicle to get residents out and at least do things.
Very good.
While
Art.
I'm on that, we're closed, and I've talked to many seniors, and they just want to know when it's going to open, even if it's on a limited basis in small groups. Unfortunately, I get to see a lot of seniors because I work for Speezy Malashevsky and at the different wakes and, and the older people. And I can't tell you, it's probably been more than 40 people have asked me, because there's been no communication about the senior center. They really want to get out. They, even if the groups come in several sections, because it's big enough to spread them out in the auditorium. So I think that's something the council may want to look at, is starting to open that, especially if we're going to ask them to go garden. They have no place to meet inside.
Thank you for that.
That's it.
Thank you, Art. And yes, Dan, I know that you have constant conversations with Jen over at the senior center. And I know that you guys have been evaluating that to hopefully get our seniors, whether it be back into the building or in some other way. They do have communications through phones and things like that. But I agree, it will be a lot better when we can all get ourselves safely out and about again. But Art, please communicate that. Dan does have constant communication, and I know that they reassess and they also go through the numbers that we do get from the police chief in reference to our COVID numbers as well, to keep that safe. So we're working on that too. I agree, Art. I can't wait for things to get back to a better normal. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, I do not see anybody else in the public portion that wishes to speak, so I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion.
Make a motion to close the public portion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move right into our next meeting. So we're going to stand for a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, statement of publication again, Jessica.
Take notice that this agenda session meeting of the mayor and council being held on this 12th day of April 2021 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Conti,
Here.
Delina,
Here.
Enriquez,
Here.
Mar,
Here.
Novak.
I think I still see her on here. Is she? We might have lost her, Jess.
She's unmuted. Try her.
Here.
She's unmuted.
There she is. I got you. All right. So Mary, that's okay, Mayor. All right. Thank you, Jessica. Old business, any comments on ordinance?
Wait, I just got to make sure our professionals.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Business administrator,
Present.
CFO,
Here.
engineer,
Here.
attorney.
Here.
Does that take care of everybody now?
Yes.
All right, thanks, Jess. Anything on ordinance number 52421? Okay, then.
Not for me.
Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to communications and committee report with admin and finance. Councilwoman Roberts, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, thank you. Received bingo raffle licenses from Animal Rescue Force and HSA OLV for approval.
Any objection? Okay, continuing on.
Amending a raffle license filed by the Sayreville Police Auxiliary for approval.
Any objection? Keep going.
All right, we have referred to the tax council all of the tax appeals in section D.
Okay. Any objection? None? Okay.
And the authorization for the tax collector to refund taxes due to 100% disabled veteran tax exemption for approval.
Any objection to that? Wonderful. Anything else, Councilwoman Roberts?
Yes, I've got just a couple of things. And first, Mayor, I want to thank you for taking my call last week about some of those questions I have and for consideration of Rosetta continuing on to serve on SERA. Her appointment is coming to an end. So I do want to thank you for taking that call and for helping clarify. I do agree that when that letter went out that we were discussing that the town stated something, I think we need a little more clarity because many people look at us as the town and there's so many different facets. So that clarification would be extraordinarily helpful. And I do have to, and I apologize, I do have to ask you that when I did ask for consideration for the position, and I do understand that what you told me, and I absolutely think you should go to your advisors and to those on the board to make sure it's a good fit. I was a little concerned that I had a call from someone stating that I should go through them before you. So I got a call. It was from a restricted number, but the caller represented himself as Tom Polando, and I have no reason to believe it wasn't him. I understand he is on SERA, but he is not the chair. So I do hope that I have the opportunity to go directly to you and to the other council members just to, ask for recommendations. It is entirely your privilege. I understand that, and I appreciate you listening to that. But if there is a procedure that I'm missing or overstepping, I would be open to hearing or understanding that.
No, and you know what? I appreciated your call. I did reach out just for clarification because I didn't know when the term was up. So I don't know what that conversation was with that other individual, but I did reach out just to find out when, what month that term was up. That was all. So, and I think it is, and you are right. It's coming up. I think it's June. I have to have Jess double check. I think that's when.
July.
Or July. Thank you. See, it's the J months. It's killing me, but no, Donna, I had no problem taking that call. I can only speak for myself, but I've served on SERA, so I was very honest with you with my statement. I don't know if there's any other protocol. I can turn around and say how I personally feel, but I never pushed that to anybody else. So, and I did feel very much that way. Exactly what I said. Rosetta sat on my left side. And then my lovely friend who I miss dearly, Rennie, was on my right-hand side. So I had no objection to that. So I don't know if you did anything wrong. Mr. Dupont, is there anything wrong with that?
No, I mean, we're all asking pertinent questions. I think that the protocol is, there is protocol obviously, and there's tradition. And so, what I will do just to make sure that protocol was followed, I think it's accurate that there's probably a request that has to be made. So what I'll do is just to, out of abundance of caution, I'll reach out to the chairman of SERA as well as Mr. Frankel just to confirm the protocol. But I think she's fine.
Yeah, I think so too. Thanks for that, Mike. And thank you, Councilwoman Roberts, too, for reaching out and letting me know about the email communication with the Little League, because I didn't see that. So
I didn't either. I went a little crazy trying to look it up, and I was like, I don't remember it. Didn't see it. So thank you.
So I think we're fine, Donna. You know, my line is always open. Call me anytime.
Thank you, Mayor. And there's just one other thing I wanted to mention. There was an article indicating that Sayreville would get $5.5 million awarded. We haven't received anything official on that yet. So it's just the article. So we can't really depend on that money yet or what it could or could not be used for. So because it was brought up, I do want to state that cautionary statement. I don't want the world thinking that we have $5 million and we're not using it for our budget. We don't have $5 million. So I just wanted to clarify that. There was only one place that I found that published, and that was on Patch, I believe, in an article where they published a number of towns. But we don't have that money. We can't depend on that money. It basically doesn't exist. I hope it does one day, but it does not now.
Yeah, I'll give you a little more clarification on that, because I did reach out to Congressman Pallone's office and reference that, because that is that federal stimulus money that all municipalities, all states are looking at. So right now I've heard two different, since the start of that negotiations really on the floor, we initially had heard rumors that there was potentially a $5 million set aside here for Sayreville. Each municipality has different numbers and they were fluctuating and changing. And then the latest numbers that we did here was 5.5. Now, I do think that the 5.5 is more solid than what it's been previously. I'm pretty sure that's locked in. The reason why it's difficult to turn around and say, well, we have 5.5 is because we don't know what the restrictions are going to be on that money and what we're going to be allowed to actually appropriate that to. So in the beginning, when the initial discussions were being had, it was that this money would not be tied down, that municipalities would have pretty much a very, very broad ability to spread that money out wherever they needed it for their municipality's needs, because each municipality is different. Since then, there is now more discussions about regulations and limitations. So you're 100% right, Councilwoman Roberts. While that money, it's out there, we need to get more clarification about exactly what we can appropriate that to, how it can be used. So like you, I don't want to turn around and earmark something and then find out later that, nope, you can't use it and it's being pulled back. So I agree with you. I think once that's all settled, we will be making very, very wise decisions with it, but we can't jump for joy quite yet.
Right. I've been talking to people who have been asking about it. As far as I know, the only thing we could spend it on is applesauce and firewood.
I like that.
Until we hear how we can use it. So thank you for that clarification. That is all for now. It's been a very productive night. Again, I want to thank the professionals and the attorneys and the pilot program moving forward. That was a big deal. It had me sleepless participating in that. And the budget is going to do the same. And I'm confident in our CFO work that was done for that. So I'm looking forward to that coming up in the future. So thank you. It's been a very productive night. Thank you, Mayor.
Very good. Thank you very much. Planning and zoning, please. Councilwoman Marr.
Good evening. Okay. There are no minutes and departmental reports to accept. And I have one application for temporary trailer license received from DuPont Specialty Products USA LLC to place one office trailer on block 37, lot 1, 250 Cheesequake Road in Parlin.
Okay. Any objections to any of that? And we also need a receive and file. So that would be a motion for a second.
Second.
Thank you very much, Councilman Enriquez. Anything on committee reports?
Receive and file. Oh, do you want me to read the receive and file?
You can just, I think we can go along with as noted or as listed. Is that okay, Jess?
That's fine.
Okay, so for committee reports, Mr. Rittenhouse beat me to it, but on the 24th at 10 a.m., the community garden will have a groundbreaking ceremony. We welcome any donations. Our communications director will start advertising this tomorrow and start sending out borough blasts. And it's really, you know, just groundbreaking, literally. So we have the fence up to protect our plants from the animals, and we're excited to get started moving forward. Garbage cans. I know there's been some chatter online about people confused about garbage cans. Mr. Frankel, do you want to clarify on that?
I was
Well, I
actually
think
going to
that-
bring that up during my section, Michelle.
Oh, okay. All right. So
Okay.
I'll pause
Okay.
on that. Kevin, you can later.
Thank you.
Our roads page is in the process of getting updated. I know that's something that we've had a few calls in to change. Instead of it being on the Public Works page, it's going to be moved to the roads page appropriately. And we have quite a few roads, that's exciting, that are about to get paved this year. Animal licensing has been updated. So I know our communications person has put a pretty new graphic on our homepage with a link to the file to print and send in for a license. And I'm very excited. Mr. Bracken said that we're looking towards e-pay for next year, 2022. So you know how I love paying everything online. I do have one concern. Working as a realtor, I've noticed there's one fee in our code enforcement office that I think is unreasonable. It's the as-is CO fee. There's other towns that don't charge anything, whereas we charge $500. And I talked to Mr. Mick about this, and he would be willing to do a trial period of $300, which I still think is unreasonable, but I think it's better than nothing. So what this is, and I wouldn't vote, I would recuse myself, even though realtors don't profit off this in any way. I just think it's unfair to our residents. You know, they're in the process of selling their home or buying a home, and then they get hit with a $500 fee if there's an issue with the inspection. So it's just something I'd like you all to consider. Again, I'm just looking out for our residents. I do not benefit from this. But I do think that I have seen a few of our residents be affected by it, and it slows down their home buying process. It's not something we generate income off of. It was actually created when banks owned many of the homes that were foreclosing. And hopefully by lowering it, maybe we could start bringing in some income from it, but that wasn't the purpose. So again, just something to consider. And I have a chart of info from other towns and what their fees are, and it's nowhere near close to what we're charging. And other than that, yes?
No, thank you. Keep going. If you have more, keep going.
I did just want to take the time to address, we've lost some pretty major people lately due to COVID. And I just think I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge them. We lost our county commissioner, Kenny Armwood, who I really enjoyed meeting throughout this short time in politics. He was a really great friend to us. Kristen Brain, who was one of the first friendly faces, one of our committee women at such a young age. And lastly, my grandfather, Nick Buffalino, who dedicated his life to several schools, and he will be missed. So I got my COVID shot the day of his funeral, and I cannot urge everyone to do the same. If you believe in it, I definitely think it puts us on the road to normalcy and protecting everyone's health and well-being again. So that's it, progress.
Thank you very much. My condolences again to you, Michelle, and your family. Thank you for putting some names to those numbers. So I appreciate that. Public safety, Councilman Conti.
Thank you, Mayor. And yeah, prayers for the families of Kenny, Kristen, and your family as well, Michelle. They're in our thoughts. So I'd like to receive and file the Board of Health minutes of March 4th, 2021.
Can I have a second? Thank you.
All right, received a request to travel from Sayreville Engine Company number 1 to attend the golf outing on April 30th in Colts Neck.
Any objection? Okay.
All right, and just a couple of things. So for starters, I had a email from a resident looking for to get a COVID shot, but they're homebound. And I didn't know if there was what the opportunity was for things like that. I hadn't heard of it. You know, if there was an option for people that are homebound. You know, I know some of you have real good information on that. Perhaps if you know of anything, if you share it with me, I can get back to the resident about it as well, if there's any opportunity for that.
Vince, how about Mr. Frankel? Can you help Vince out with that? Because I know we have had some success with a few of the numbers now that the county has put out there. So Vince, maybe share that.
Vince,
Okay.
there's the county is trying to have a mobile unit that will be going, and I'm not saying to each individual home, but maybe to things such as nursing homes or senior citizen homes. If this person is truly housebound and can't get out of a house, or any of our residents are like that, give me a call. The county's been pretty receptive. As long as they have the J&J vaccine, they would prefer to do the one-shot vaccine to people.
Yeah.
We're trying to, we're trying to work with them as much as we can. They know it's an issue, but it's going to have to be taken on a case-by-case basis. We've had a little bit of success, so I can talk offline, or if anybody wants to, if any of the residents are listening, you can call my line directly at 390-7071.
All right. Thank you. I'll touch base with you on that. All right, a couple other things. I wanted to read a couple of things from Chief Zabrowski about some comments on our last meeting. I know the individuals aren't on the line. However, there was two things that were raised, and they had mentioned about the use of a taser and there being more paperwork required for that than a firearm. And I'm going to just read a quote from the chief. The paperwork for reporting a discharge of a CED, conducted energy device, commonly referred to as a taser, does not hinder its use in the field. For any level of force beyond physical contact, our officers are required to file a use of force report, along with any additional reports required to memorialize an event. So he was fairly confident that the paperwork doesn't hinder the use of a taser versus a firearm. The individual had said there's more paperwork for a taser, and Chief just found that to be unwarranted and false as far as it deterring anyone, not in our town at least. So I want to get that out there. Also, the other thing that was mentioned was about the record of booking for each arrest. And again, I'm going to read this from the chief. The statement was about the race, and the individual was making the case that Hispanic wasn't an option, and we weren't selecting Hispanic. But so the chief says currently the FBI only tabulates arrest data by race, with categories for white, black, Asian or Pacific Islander, and American Indian or Alaska Native. So Hispanic is not one of the categories, but he does go on to say, however, the information is captured under the separate category of ethnicity. The FBI is considering changing its classification of Hispanic from ethnicity to race. It hasn't done so as of yet, though. So his folks follow the protocol that's in front of them. They don't have an opportunity to do that on the front end, so the numbers may look skewed, and it's something that he's aware of, they're considering changing it at the FBI level, but until they do so, he just needs to follow along with the guidelines for bookings. That was the other piece I wanted to make sure I got in there on his behalf, and for that individual who raised the point. Last thing, a member of our town had mentioned to me about the area around Weber and MacArthur, that there's some sort of dead space there in that area, and they had some thoughts on it about, maybe beautifying the area a little bit, maybe making it sort of like not like a park, but park-like, maybe with some benches around there, and just spruce it up a little bit. Maybe people could sit in there and relax and read a book or something to that effect. I just got it today, and I suppose I could follow up with one of the members of either Dan's team or the council about what that would take to look at the area, maybe do something simple, maybe even ask some residents to volunteer to help out clean up an area if that's the case. But I wanted to make sure that that resident knows that I will check that out and see if there's some simple things we could do to beautify the area around his in his location.
Thanks, Vince. That area is the area that was affected by Hurricane Sandy.
Yeah.
So yes, we've gone back and forth in a lot of different ways. I know Mary could probably speak at length on that as well. So yeah, definitely reach out to Dan and Mary. You probably remember a lot more than I do, and some of the ideas we've had in the past. Rutgers has come in the past to try to come up with plans and what we can and can't do, but anything to make that area nicer would benefit.
We don't want to, he certainly didn't suggest building anything there, just, maybe a couple of benches or something in a safe manner. So, okay, we'll do.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks, Vince.
That was it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Recreation, Councilman Enriquez. It's back to the recreation show. I feel like you had an intro in the first meeting.
Yeah, I most definitely did. All right, thank you, Mayor. All right, I have no minutes or departmental reports. I'm looking for approval for an application for a special event received from Melissa Novak to hold fundraiser for OLV School on May 22nd in their parking lot. No impact or objection received from any of the departments, and county approval was received for them.
All right, any objection? All right, we're good to go. Anything else?
All right. Yeah, already kind of did, but I was going to announce we do have a new rec director starting May 3rd. His name's Brian Van Dungen. He comes with a wealth of experience, was an assistant director in 2 other towns. And it looks like he's going to be a good fit for our town. Can't wait to get him started. Also would like to thank the rec board and all their hard work and time they put in for the Easter egg hunt. It was very successful. Heard nothing but good things about it. So thank you all on the board. And also, I would, here's some really exciting news. We got given a $1 million grant for the Jerry Us Recreation Complex. Now, this is not a matching grant. This is pretty much just a grant given to us of $1 million to improve and build upon the Jerry Us Recreation Complex. It's very exciting, I think. It could use some work, some improvements, possibly some new ball fields. There was plans probably 20 years ago to build that out, but we never had the money. So this is going to be great that we do have money for this. And that also frees up money that we were putting into there. It's going to free up money so we could use it, for other needs of our town. So this is a great win for us, I believe.
I love it.
And after that,
That's really exciting. And that's for all of our town sponsored sports programs to use.
yes, that is for the town to use. It's going to be used with, we even had thoughts of, getting, if we do wind up building some new fields, having the school board, if they need it, the schools need it. Lord knows, they use our fields as is, but it'd be great to give them something new to use too.
I like that.
And then,
Not a matching grant. That's a big one. Thank you for making that point.
Yeah, so we have to put no money. We got free money to use on this. That's the way I look at it.
Big fan.
and progress, man.
Thanks very much. Can we all try and end on that same note for next meeting? Can we all end on on just money, no matching funds? That's everybody's homework now. Water, sewer, and environmental. Councilwoman Novak, please.
Progress, Mayor.
Even I don't know which one I like better now. I think I still like the million, but I do like progress. Thank you. Public Works, Council President Delina.
Thank you, Mayor. As Councilwoman Mard brought up earlier in this part of the meeting, there were a few complaints that were on social media about why individuals, residents, weren't able to purchase, another trash can. So we are going to be allowing that again. We were waiting for shipment to come in. So Dan, I don't know when the date that you wanted to start selling them again, but we will. I would also like to pass a resolution or ordinance saying that residents can only purchase a maximum of 2 trash cans or 2 trash bins. So Dan, I don't know what the next steps would be to do that. But that's something I would like to do. I know we have a lot of issues with people putting things in their trash. And I would like to look into maybe adding something to our website as well to, let people know what what goes where and, what's bulk pickup and different options that the borough has to offer to our residents. This way, and everyone works together to keep our town, in the great way it is right now. So that's other than that, I don't really have anything else.
All right. Thank you very much then, Council President Delina. And Dan, did you want to add something, Dan?
No, we'll get that into action as soon as possible. The garbage receptacles are in, and if anybody, we'll make sure that we tell the office, and I would tell you by the end of the week we could put that in motion.
Thank you, and same with the resolution or ordinance, whatever it has to be.
Correct.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much. I have just 2 items. Actually, the first one I'll mention is hot off the presses. I just checked my emails and we received notification just before our council meeting regarding vaccines and our town. And this is something that I'm excited to report. We've been reporting about COVID positive numbers for over a year now. But now Middlesex County is actually providing Middlesex County municipalities with vaccine numbers. So how many of our residents, according to their data, have been vaccinated? So this is the current numbers of where we are with our vaccines. And I think this is important. This is the only way, it's the only weapon that we have right now in order to stop the spread of this virus and hopefully get our town back to where other towns are with reopening. I hate to say it, but our numbers, and I spoke to the police chief today, we were discussing our numbers and we are still averaging anywhere from 30 to 40 cases every 2 days. And that's just not where we want to be as a local municipality. So the county has us listed as a total population as of today at 44,105 individuals. Out of those 44,000 plus individuals, 34,517 are over the age of 18. And I think that's an important breakout. So the big question is how many of our 44,000 plus residents are vaccinated to date? And as of today, we have a total of 15,515 residents that are vaccinated. Now, that does not mean that they are fully vaccinated. Out of that 15,000, 10,345 have received 1 dose of either Moderna or Pfizer, and that's only 1 dose. Only 4,688 of our residents have actually received 2 doses of Moderna or Pfizer, so they're now out. They've gotten both of their shots. Just a couple of hundred have received the 1 dose shot. So when we look at the spread within our community, I'm pretty excited to actually have these numbers. According to the email I received, they're going to keep us posted on those vaccine numbers. I don't remember now if it says every 2 weeks. Hopefully they'll be able to do that, but I don't hold them to their timelines because I know it's sometimes hard in order to gather that information. But I think this is important. Out of the 44,000 individuals plus, only 15,500 have been vaccinated. And most of them have only been partially vaccinated. So I think Councilwoman Marr said, you know, please, she cannot implore you enough in order to get those vaccines. I know they're hard to come by. We'll continue to put out things through Bomber Blast, different ways in order to get those vaccines. We here in Sayreville have actually 2 vaccination sites. We have the Fire Academy on Main Street Extension, and just a little bit further down the road, we have Epic Church, which is also a vaccination site. We have the Walgreens in town, which is giving vaccinations. CVS, although we don't have one here, you have them closer in surrounding areas that are also giving out vaccines. I know that it's frustrating. And as the state opens up now eligibility to 16 and older, it might make this even harder. But if you need help, reach out to us. We will do everything in our power in order to try and get you to those individuals that can hopefully book those appointments, or at the very least, continue to give out the numbers that we do have available. But we definitely need to get more people vaccinated. And I have been a bit critical of the vaccination rollout in New Jersey, but I understand it's a daunting task. For the record, we received on April 5th, the week of April 5th, only 3,000 vaccines to distribute throughout Middlesex County. So considering our vaccination amounts are kind of low for a county that is so dense, we are making some progress, but it is going to take a while, I think, for us to really get our community to a safe place. Last but not least, I think we're all familiar with Sarah's mom. You know, Sarah, who we unfortunately lost in a tragic accident a number of years ago. It's where Sarah's Law is actually named after her. Her mom has reached out to me, and you might have seen on social media. Last year, Betty, her mom, came to the council trying to urge that that particular stretch of road over there that turned by Karcher be reduced from the miles per hour that it is now down to a 15-mile-per-hour zone. I know that those types of changes cannot be made just at the council level, and she's reached out to me to ask if we would once again consider having that changed. I'm going to ask Vince and Dan if we can reach back out to the police department, have them do their analysis again to see if that road is one that we can actually have a change in speed limit. I know there's a lot that goes into it. We can't just turn around and post a change in speed limit sign, but in Sarah's memory, for her mom and for our community, because it is very, very, we know people speed in a lot of areas. I wanted to bring that again to the council. Let's see what we can do, because hopefully we'll eventually see that area safer for everybody. Dan, did you want to add something?
No, Mayor, that's good.
So I'll just ask you guys to once again reach out to the chief, and if maybe this is the year to get that reduced, and just bless her and bless her family, and please keep Sarah in your thoughts when you're driving, especially so that a tragedy like that can be averted. Business Administrator, Mr. Frankel, you're on.
Thank you, Mayor. Authorization for the tax collector to assign sell a tax certificate to Archer Financial in the full amount of $11,453.
Okay, unless somebody stops you, keep on going, Dan.
Authorization to amend Chapter 2-64 to increase mercantile license renewal fee for $75. I want to put something else under this administration and finance. The commissioners of Sarah voted at their last meeting to recommend that the National Amusement Site, which is located, as you all know, on Route 9 and 35, to be sent to the mayor and council from the mayor and council, I should say, to the planning board to study as a recommendation as whether the site will qualify as an area in need of redevelopment.
Just for the record, can you let everybody know we're talking about the Amboy Cinema?
The Amboy Cinema, that's correct.
There you go. Thank you. And does anyone have an objection to that? Because this is long overdue. Does anyone have an objection to sending that where it needs to go? No. Yes. Wonderful, Dan.
Authorization to amend the construction fee ordinance, chapter 12, section 1.3. Authorization to amend chapter 26-110, parentheses 5G, to increase the zoning permit fee to $75. Authorization to submit a strategic plan for the Sayreville Municipal Alliance fiscal year 2022 and acknowledging the terms and conditions for administering this grant. Authorization to call for a certified list for patrolmen from the Department of Personnel.
Dan, does the chief have a number that he would like to be hiring?
We have in our budget, I believe, 4. We'll speak to the, as soon as we will speak to the, we have 4 from the grant, I believe, Mary. It might, I think it's 4.
Yeah, because I was just wondering, because I think we had in our budget last year for 5, and that one, I mean, at the beginning of the year, and for that January class, and that one of the people dropped out. So I was wondering if that money was going to be used to maybe increase this from 4 to 5. Just a question.
We'll check with the chief and make sure.
Thank you.
Okay, authorization for the recycling coordinator to submit a grant application for the recycling enhancement grant through Middlesex County Department of Public Safety and Health. Authorization to request proposals using a competitive contracting process for our textile collection program. Authorization to extend landscape maintenance contract with Greenleaf Landscaping Systems for one additional 1-year term.
I'd like to make a comment, Dan. So I know there's been many complaints about the current lawn service, the length of time it takes in between cuts, running over garbage instead of picking it up. And the grass is cut, but leaving grass clippings behind. We've had to talk to him about the business about this a few times. When I asked, why are we rehiring him? The answer was there's no one else came out to bid. So I would like to encourage more people to come out to bid, and also to our residents to not throw garbage out the window. I know due to COVID, we don't have the programs that we used to, like the prison program, picking up garbage on the side of the road. I know the county road, Bordentown has a ton of trash, and you acknowledge that we have a grant for people to come out, but I'm not thrilled that we're extending this contract for a job that's not being well done, in my opinion. And I hope that we can find someone else moving forward to do a better job.
So to your comment, next year we will go to a what's called a competitive bid, which we can look at all of the contractors and see, also including not just price, but also their services and how they perform. I think that'll allow us to have more competitive bids that will be submitted to us, and it'll be up to us to choose then if they perform this year, or if they don't perform, to choose a landscaping company that would perform.
Okay, thank you.
Authorization for the QPA to advertise for the receipts of bids for the following: electrician, traffic light repairs and maintenance, and HVA services.
Hey, Dan.
Yes.
Back to the grass. Maybe for next year too, we could look at a shared service with the Board of Education, and maybe we can save a little money. We've done that before. I think we should try it again.
We could, sure. And to Councilwoman Marr's comment, we were able to, or I'd like authorization to execute an interlocal agreement with Middlesex County, which we would like to do, for the county to provide funding for us, the borough, to pick up the litter on the county roads as part of the Clean Communities program. So they will, with this interlocal agreement, we will get a fixed dollar amount from the county to provide money so we can send out workers, and mostly the workers will be on overtime, to go out and clean these county roads.
That would be great, because I actually just received just the other day a resident email with concerns about litter on Main Street, actually on Journey Mill Road and a couple of others. But anytime we can turn around and find a way to get more people out, especially what Michelle said, when some of the other programs aren't operating because of COVID, that would be great, Dan.
Well, I would like to say through us planning a little bit and knowing Journey Mill Road was people were very upset by the condition of Journey Mill. We actually had some of our, with the help of Elise Barone and a couple of our employees, we actually went out during a extended lunch hour and we picked up almost 40 bags of garbage, or picked up 40 bags of garbage.
And I saw you run a library, so thank you to our public works guys, our parks guys. I did see them on Washington Road in front of the library in the high school, so thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Not stealing Councilman Enriquez's, but here it comes. Authorization to appoint Brian Von Dogman as the Recreation Director effective May 3rd, 2021.
Well, boy, Brian has been on this between the two meetings. I think this man has been mentioned at least 3 or 4 times. So that's great news, Dan. Very job well done, everyone.
Okay, and authorization for the QPA to advertise for the receipt of bids for the water department chemicals. And Mayor, that would be it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're going to move to the CFO's report. Miss Bianca Mano, thank you in advance already, just for all of your hard work.
Thank you. I just have one thing, resolution for governing body certification of compliance with the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission's enforcement guidance on the consideration of arrest and conviction records and employment decisions under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This resolution is required before submitting a group affidavit by the governing body and is a requirement of the introduced budget. And that's it, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And we're going to move right over to the borough engineer at this point, Mr. Cornell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 2 items this evening. The first is the Pulaski Avenue tank painting project that's been completed. We're recommending you close out the contract and approve a final change order that's going to have a net reduction. So we'd ask for a resolution at your next meeting. Second item is the revisions to your borough tax maps. A few years ago, you started a phased project where you were going to go through and update your tax maps. We're entering the final phase of that project, and we need to have an additional ordinance appropriating funding to complete that. In speaking with your CFO, rather than amending the prior ordinance, it's been recommended by bond counsel that you have a new ordinance. So we'd like to have that introduced at your next meeting. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Jay, as always, thank you, because I love when you say a reduction in those orders. Don't think I didn't notice. So thank you again, Jay. Borough Attorney, Mr. Dupont, anything?
No report, Mayor.
Thank you very much. We have no additional executive session. I'll open to the public at this point for any and all comments. Let's see, *9. The list got low. So ladies and gentlemen, seeing no hands, I'll entertain a motion to
Make a motion to close the public portion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes tonight's meeting. Have a great night and stay safe.